drone with me. And I want everybody to stand up if you want to, and either do a power pose or wave at the camera, and we're going to get a picture of the audience from above. And I'm going to give you a count of 3. So I'm going to take off to a count of 3. When I say 3, go ahead and give me a power pose. Now this past summer, I had the opportunity to travel to India as a part of the Rome Scholars Summer of Service opportunity. And in fact, I learned that drones really can capture a crowd. Now, as I was traveling, running a drone was actually a lot more difficult than I imagined. I had to go through multiple levels of customs. In fact, one of the customs guys questioned what I had in this box, and I opened it up and showed him my drone, and he said, "Oh, cool." So I made a cruise to India. It was late at night. And I'm sitting in the airport. I'm just kind of confused as to where I'm at. I didn't know, what India looked like. It was so dark. And I thought, I'm really in New Delhi. But thanks to Google Maps, I noticed that I had arrived at the airport where my host family was waiting on me. Now, fast forward 3 hours, and we arrived at my host family's home. Now, again, it was early in the morning, and I had a lot of jet lag. So I went straight to bed, still not knowing what India looked like. Now, the next morning, I thought, what if I take my drone up and I can actually get a better understanding of where I'm at and where I'm going to be serving for the next few weeks? So I went up on top of the house, I flew up, and I captured some really stunning shots, and one of them is on screen today, showing what the village looked like. And it completely surprised me at what I saw. But this really wasn't what shocked me. The family that I was with, they were awestruck. Now, first of all, they had never seen a drone, let alone had they ever seen their village from above. And so this started to make me think, sometimes we don't know what our own village looks like from above until we start to see it. So I'm going to show you a little clip of what it looked like from the drone. So as you can see, this was a fairly small village, but the houses were really compact. And so now I automatically knew where I would be serving for the next few weeks. Now, first of all, there's another thing. As much as drones can help us to understand what it looks like from above, there's actually another technology called GIS, or Geographic Information Systems, that can really help us to better understand what it looks like from above. Now, first of all, I know most of y'all are thinking, what's GIS? And what's the have to do with drones? Well, GIS is the idea of using location-based data and making more informed decisions from that data for analysis. So I'm part of the National 4-H GIS GPS leadership team, a long name for a group of youth and adults across the nation that work on national mapping projects. And we use GIS to help better understand these issues. Now in 2016, we identified the obesity epidemic as our primary focus so we can better understand what is going on with this epidemic across the nation. Now, first of all, we had to find a data source. So we found an Excel sheet, and it happened to be from the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation. They have a county health rankings and roadmaps data source. Now, in this data source, there was one column of data that we needed to use, adult obesity. And as we started to look through this data, we thought, what does this data mean? What's the meaning behind it? Could we really start to see any trends or patterns just looking at numbers? But we thought, well, let's put this into GIS, and let's get a better picture. So that's what we transformed that data into. I want to step you through that again. We took data, so a bunch of numbers in an Excel sheet, and we turned it into a picture. Now, I don't know about you, but I personally would rather look at this picture and start to get a better understanding and generalizations than read through a bunch of numbers. And this truly is the power of GIS. Now what you're seeing on this map is there's 5 intervals of the adult obesity percentages, with green being healthy to red being a concern. Now just looking at this map, you can already start to see patterns and trends. In fact, I know some of y'all are trying to point it into our region and say, how's our county or how's our area doing? Well, let's go ahead and look at our region. What's our own village look like? Well, to be honest, it's kind of a mixed bag. We've got some counties that are red, so they have some concern. We have some counties that are green, that have really good obesity rates. Then we also have some in the middle that are orange. So, from my understanding, I think we've still got a lot of work to do. And we need to continue to partner with counties and communities around us to continue to combat this epidemic. Now, what if we take that opioid, the obesity epidemic, and we actually find some of those hotspots? So, what we did with GIS was actually use an analysis. It's not connected, that's fine. So, we used a hotspot analysis tool to actually start to find these trends and patterns. So what we started to see was, is there actually are some patterns with the obesity epidemic, especially down here in the southeast region. What's going on? Maybe it's the fried chicken, sweet tea, and the mashed potatoes. I'm not sure. There's probably a lot more factors than that. There are. But then look in the west. We've got some areas that are big blue. So those are all counties clustered with blue meaning they're overall healthy counties. Then the red, they're overall concerned. Now from this, again, what if we look a little bit deeper into the data? What if there were some counties or some communities in these areas that are actually outliers or inverses? Well, we ran an outlier analysis tool, and we started to see this actually was true. So let's look at the southeast region in a big area of red. There are actually some counties that are in blue, so meaning their obesity rates are actually fairly low compared to the counties around them. So those are kind of bright spots. And so those communities and counties can look to those places for what policy, what programs are they implementing that we can start to implement and start to help this epidemic. Now, another area that we started to explore was actually the opioid crisis. So this is our past year's work, and what we started to figure out was what if we could visualize the opioid crisis from above? Well, it may look a little something like this. Now, what's on this map right now is actually 4 layers of data. So we've actually got in the dots our schools across the nation. Now, the underlying data set is the drug poison deaths per 100,000. Now, you're probably wondering, where did we come up with that layer? It's actually composed of 2 additional layers of data. One layer of data is actually a social vulnerability index issued by the Census Bureau. And so it measures just a bunch of socioeconomic factors and maps those across the nation. Now the second data set we added on top of that was actually the number of opioid prescriptions per census tract. And what would show up is if there was a census tract that issued more opioid prescriptions than the amount of people in that census tract. So we combined all of those layers and found schools that, according to our model, could be in a high-risk zone for the opioid epidemic. Now again, what if we start to visualize some patterns and trends? Well, by using GIS, we can go ahead and start to find some of these clusters, some of these areas where these high-risk schools are many. And there's some areas where there's hardly any. So again, this is a model that we've used, and we're not saying this is the whole issue, but we're trying to find areas where these schools could be in a risk zone. Now let's look down closer at our village in our region. And it was kind of fascinating to us is what we saw. So you're thinking about a big metropolitan area like Knoxville, where sometimes all your money goes to. But look at Knoxville, there's hardly any high-risk school zones in that area. But if we come out into Greenville or Newport, we start to see some dots, these schools that exist in these small rural areas. So it becomes this question of rural versus urban. So again, this is a model that we started to use, and we're still trying to understand what truly is happening behind the data. Now, another way that I've started to use GIS to view the world from above is through emergency response. Now, in 2015, I partnered with the local Sullivan County Emergency Management Agency. Now, they had a set of data points that were for receiving and also distribution of supplies in the case of an emergency. So, what if we could start to see emergency response from above? Well, it may look something like this. So we proposed a model that in Sullivan County, there's a widespread water outage. So there's no water across the county. And people are going to need to drive to locations to pick up some water. So there were 45 points that the Sullivan County Emergency Management Agency decided were these receiving distribution points. And the question was, how could they get to all these 45 points as efficient, or could we find 15 points, or reduce that by 2/3 and cover about the same amount of population? Well, by using analysis, and by using drive time analysis, which is in the purple, we can actually find there are 15 points that cover within a 15-minute drive time the same population as the 45. So that's reducing efficiency. So the emergency management crews can go to 15 points and meet the same amount of population as 45. And again, these are through the analysis from the population of a 15-minute drive time to those points. Now, you're probably starting to think, GIS is probably everywhere. And in fact, it really is. GIS almost affects every business and industry. And it's really growing. People are starting to use it more and more. Now, in fact, how many of y'all use Amazon? I know I do. I get a lot of packages every day. Now, one of the things that's very interesting is that UPS has started to integrate GIS to not only improve their operating costs, but also the efficiency of their deliveries. So now your packages can arrive quicker and more efficient because they're starting to use GIS through their routing systems. Another thing that's kind of fascinating is I stumbled across the 2016 election data. And this is a data source that actually goes down really deep into the voter behavior. And it shows it might be a little bit different than you suspect. So I encourage you to go out, look for this map, and kind of zoom in. It'll actually bring you to a random area. And you can see how that county voted. And it might differ from what you think. Now, how do we get involved with this? First of all, a great way to get involved is through geocaching. Geocaching is great for students and kids that want to start to use spatial thinking and geography to go out and to start to find geocaches from a bunch of instructions. So basically, you're on this hunt to find these caches. They're fun, and they also get you out to use geography, and you can use your phone to guide you to those points using GIS. Now, the second way is to find a GeoMentor. Now, GeoMentor is kind of a weird name, but it's basically GIS professionals that want to mentor the students and help them get involved with GIS. In fact, we have a Northeast Tennessee Geographical Information Systems Council. All these GIS words are huge, so they call it NetGIS. Find a GeoMentor for them. They've got a lot of professionals. In fact, that's really how I got started in GIS. I found a GeoMentor at NetGIS, and they helped me to get the tools and the thinking to be able to do some of these projects that you see today. Now, if you're a business, I know most businesses has lots of data, but could you take some of that data that you have and start to paint a picture from that data to better understand what the data means, and it helps us to really understand what's going on to find those trends and those patterns. Now, last, go buy a drone. Drones really are a really powerful way to see the world from above, or to see your own business. So as we've seen, GIS and drones are two ways that we can start to see the world from above. And by using GIS, we're starting to transform how people look at data, how people look at their health data, to make them to look at pictures versus numbers. And from our initial launch of our How Healthy Is Your Community program, we've seen people that automatically, when they look at these maps, they see what's going on. Like, my county is red, that's a problem. We need to do something about this. Versus if I said, you're 38%, they're looking at me like, what's 38%? What does that mean? So again, by using GIS and using drones, we can really start to transform how we think about data. And lastly, I want to challenge you to think about a way that you can start to look at the world from above or to see the world from a different view. Thank you all.